Welcome to the show. We're super excited to have you. Super excited to talk to you. I know we have a lot of topics I want to cover, a lot of different things that we want to go over. But if it's all right with you, let's start before a lot of this began, before Rutgers, before any of this. You want to tell me what made you first fall in love with flag football?
The first time I ever touched a football was in middle school, right after how they play in the yard sometimes. I was throwing around, a ball after school with one of the counselors, and I didn't wanna leave until I could catch the ball because I couldn't catch the ball. Like, for the life of me, I could not catch the ball, and, eventually, I got better and better because I was determined to catch the ball, and I started playing with the guys on gravel, like nothing crazy. But the kind of confidence that flag football gave me from like beating a ton of the boys in middle school, it made me realize that this had something special that I could do. I never played a sport before that. And then I joined a rec league, and from there, just the opportunities with flag football just kept coming. And wouldn't even like I have no idea where they came from. It's really from God. It's a ton of tournaments and a ton of different a lot of media surrounding it, and it just kept growing and growing and growing. And the more that it grew, the more I fell in love with it.
It's almost hard to imagine a time where you couldn't catch the ball because you're so talented. You're known for your, athletic ability and for your skills and your wisdom on the field. It's really hard to almost imagine that there was a time that you couldn't, do that. So, who was somebody in your early career that kind of helped open doors for you and kind of helped you get into the flag football world or the football world in general? As you said, it's in the beginning, it's almost not about flag football; it's just about the basic skills. So, who's
Yeah.
somebody who helped open the door for you?
My youth coach, Coach Michael Colt, he absolutely changed my life, changed all my youth teammates' lives. When we first started working out, I think it was like we started taking it really seriously right when COVID hit, like right in the beginning. And I think that we were at the field every single day. And this man, he was pushing us like crazy. And that was how I learned basic flag football drills, from quick feet to just sprinting and running laps. And he just got us conditioned. He made us athletes. We weren't all athletes before. And we traveled and he cared so much about us. And it's like, that was the start of SIG, the Staten Island Giants. Really successful youth club team. And now that was like first gen. And I think he's played a big role, not just in our lives, but also in flag football in Staten Island in general. And yeah, a lot of credit to him.
Was there a specific moment where you kind of realized, like, it was like a turning point for you in the beginning where you realized, okay, I can do this. I kind of, I've kind of figured out some things and now, I can see a path forward where, this can become a thing for me. Was there a specific moment for that?
Yeah, so the thing that I remember most vividly, at least, little background, I was a dancer for 10 years before I
Wow, I
played,
didn't know that.
and I was, like, competitive, and we were winning, like, trophies and just, doing I was a good dancer. And when I started playing flag at a rec level, like, nothing special, it was recreational, and then I quit dancing just to play more. My mom was furious, absolutely furious, and the first time she came to a tournament was Ohio Nationals. I don't remember what the league was called, probably just National Flag Football League because it was very
Yeah, I
new.
think that was the league back then.
Yeah, and so we played in nationals in Ohio, and my mom came to that, and it was scorching hot, and she fell in love with, like, taking care, like the tournament moms? She was
Yeah,
like, "Oh, do you guys need water?
exactly.
Do you guys need, like, towels?" and things like that, and they were filming us because we wound up in the championship, and we wound up winning, thank God. She was watching us, and she fell in love with it. And when my mom it's kinda like when you hear validation from your mother saying, like, "This is really cool, and this is something that, okay, I see the value in it now." And that made me realize it kinda gave me, like, it felt like I got permission to actively pursue it even further. And then once my mom supported it, I was full speed ahead, and I put my all into it. So yeah.
It's definitely a lot easier too to kind of go all in on a sport when your parents, support you and they're kind of into it as well. It's very difficult, obviously parents have, a path that they want you to follow and they kind of, are sometimes they're into a sport more than another sport, but to have your mom's eyes kind of be opened and I see that a lot too with some of the athletes that we deal with is that when their parents kind of see a path for them to be part of the team, like you said, your mom was a team mom. We have a bunch of parents that we deal with that when they find a path, dads or moms helping out and they can be part of the team, it really helps encourage them, kind of go all in on the sport with their kids. And those are the kids who become the most successful when they have the parents behind them that are pushing them and are just as involved and excited about it as they are.
Yeah, I think community is a huge part of it, especially at the youth level, because just as youth players, we have no resources. Like we have like we're just kids trying to play, and so
Exactly.
you have a good community surrounding you, not just like supportive as in coaches and parents and financially people like provide. And I know so many coaches that have sacrificed for their players, so many parents that have sacrificed for their children, and I think that having a good community is I'm really grateful because I don't know what I would have done without it.
In your early years, were there any early setbacks that you experienced while you were kind of coming up in the beginning stages?
Nothing that I can aside from everyone experiences injuries. I hit my head a couple times, concussions, but,
Yeah, this is before headgear was
yeah,
popular.
yeah, now I wear my headgear 24/7. Shout out Guardian Loop. But, yeah, it's aside from a couple injuries, there's nothing that I can really put my finger on. Like, COVID, it may feel like a setback to most people, but as a kid out of school, I just got to play all the time. So if anything, it, like, further launched me forward.
Yeah, I feel like for flag football especially, I noticed that kind of, a lot of other sports trended down during COVID, but
Yeah.
flag football really blew up, especially because we lived in New York where a lot of sports were kind of grounded in New York, but then flag football, especially the travel world, all of a sudden now instead of, just doing nothing, sitting on our couch, we can go and play in New Jersey and in Pennsylvania and these other states. And that's kind of, in my opinion, COVID really led to the birth and the growth of the travel flag football scene because it was the only thing you could do at that time. You couldn't play in New York, but you could play in these other states. So, like you said, COVID was kind of something that helped the growth of flag football in Staten Island, I think, and kind of helped us put Staten Island flag on the map. Obviously, along with your teammates and yourself, and being one of those early top teams in the country that that SIG was and that you were, you helped put Staten Island flag on the map for sure.
Yeah, and, like, especially, like you were saying, the Northeast sports specifically, the only thing that you could really do outside, like, you could play tennis maybe, but, like, team sports, it was you can't even really play football because you need, like, all the equipment and you need to like, tackle football is a little it was very hard to organize that in COVID, but Northeast, where you have limited space, the only thing you could really do outside is, like, flag football. It just kind of exploded. Yeah.
So, what about some breakthrough moments in your early years? Was there any breakthrough moments, maybe at games or tournaments or competitions, something that, validated you that you were on the right path in those early years before you became, the big superstar that everybody knows? Or was there any breakthrough moments that, wins or anything like that that made you realize, like, okay, I'm doing the right thing. This is something that's for me?
Yeah, we played in a lot of tournaments, so I can't specifically picture one, but I do remember one mindset shift at a practice at one point when I was transitioning into more of a leader. Like I was working out so much and eventually I realized that I knew something that I could help someone else learn something, like be a mentor of some sort. And I think one of the biggest things they say even in school that when you can teach something, when you can give something over, that teaches you 10 times more. And so when younger girls were like coming up into SIG and we were getting younger divisions and I was able to help out with the youth, then even as a youth myself, but it's like it's different when you're a teenager and like you see like the 12 of you, it's like
Yeah, exactly.
feel old. Yeah, so when I started being able to help them and show them drills, then I realized that it was like it actually is something that I know a lot about, and my mind was working, and I've played so much that I could recognize schemes so easily, and I can if I it helped train me to explain what I'm thinking and solidified my understanding of the game in general. So I remember those kind of practices.
I can definitely see how much flag football means to you. Obviously, it didn't stop there. You had an amazing final season, winning NFL Flag Nationals, winning NFL Flag Player of the Year. Can you describe the feeling of stepping into a national level tournament and achieving those goals?
Stepping into it, absolutely terrifying, absolutely terrifying. Like, my heart is always in my stomach because I know how good some of these players around the country are, and granted, I was never the fastest player, I was never the most athletic before, and it's intimidating because you see these girls that are coming from other sports like soccer and basketball, and you see really athletic people, and no matter how much you trust in your team, it's still terrifying because you have to respect the other team, otherwise you're gonna just drive yourself into the ground with too much confidence. But I just know stepping into those games, I it's so hard to get your mind straight, And especially when you real humility is when you know what your value is and you know what you are not. So it's like have to know your strengths and your weaknesses. And I knew them both very well. So it was nerve wracking to say the least. But I do like, I'd going into it, trusting your team, best advice I think anyone could ever give.
I'm going to tell you right now, there's going to be a lot of people that are surprised that you were nervous because it seems like every time you were out on that field, you were, cool, calm, and collected. You were one of the most dominant players of the youth scene. I know from unfortunately having to play against you a lot that, or coach against you a lot that, you were definitely somebody that people game plan for. Like you said, it wasn't really your athletic ability, even though I personally think you were very athletic. It was more so that, you were almost like a coach on the field. So, even if, as coaches, we can't always put you in the right position. We call offense and defense based on tendencies and what we think will work. But then, the offense comes out in something different. Most teams, well, now, we have to hope that our girls can adjust. With you, it's like, all right, when they come out and we don't have any more minutes to be changing the offense or the defense, the coach can trust you to make those adjustments in game, to be the one that led your teammates. I know from like I said, coaching against you and coaching you at certain points that, there are players who are coaches on the field, and that is a unique skill set, that really set you apart, I feel like, from a lot of other elite level athletes, because there's a lot of athletes that are super elite, but are not coaches on the field, and that leadership and that ability to be that coach on the field is what set you apart.
Yeah, I'm so grateful for my teammates because they were so patient with me. I was sometimes you would think that being a coach on the field, yes, it's good on one hand in terms of playing, but it was definitely a struggle to be a peer and a player and also help lead a defense because that was my main thing. I love defense. And it was really difficult, especially as a kid. Kids don't know how to be effective leaders, and especially with people that are like at your level, like player and player, it's not like one's better than the other, one's above the other. It's just one is coordinating. And it took a lot. It was a huge learning curve for me to get on the same page as my teammates and do it respectfully. And I will say that like very grateful to my teammates because they were very, like I said, very patient with me about that.
Well, that I think that speaks to the kind of person that you are, that, you're acknowledging the patience that it took to gain the trust of your teammates, because just like a coach, and now you're starting to see some of the things that the coaches go through, players will only be led as much as they let you lead them. Right. So it's a lot about building trust. It's about building that trust within your teammates. The more trust you have, the more patience they'll have with you. When you make mistakes and you go through those times, they'll be patient with you and understand that you're learning on the job. And like you said, it's even more difficult for a player athlete because as a coach, we kind of automatically have that level of respect from the players just because usually we're older. We have a lot more knowledge, things like that, right? When you play for a coach, it's because you believe in them, not necessarily for a player. For a player, you kind of are on the same level, so to speak, but now you have to be on that level. And also in the tough times when things are tight, it's not, it's easy to lead when you're up 28-0, right? But
Yeah.
you're leading in national championship games when it's 7-6 and anything can go wrong or you're down and everybody's frustrated. And to be able to gain that level of trust from your teammates speaks a lot about, like I said, about who you are. And I think that's also why you like defense so much. Defense is a lot of defense is watching your teammates succeed, right? Putting your teammates in the right position so they can be successful. Defense is all about effort and having your teammates succeed. The defense is a whole unit. And I feel like that's why you gravitated more towards that, because when you're putting other people in the right position, the whole defense wins. Even if it's not you, but you're the one who, kind of made those adjustments. It's a win that doesn't necessarily show up on your stat sheet, but you feel it. And I feel like that's the kind of player that SIG got when they got you as that leader.
I can't even explain the feeling of like having a defense shut a team down, even in just for a play. Like let's say you just shut everyone down for like 7 seconds. That's really hard. 7 seconds, and then your blitzer, like your rusher, gets a sack. That's like the most amazing feeling ever because it just reflects the system. It doesn't reflect any individual player. It reflects that you guys work well together. And right now, I'm gonna be honest. Our Me and my teammates don't really talk so much. We're all like doing our own different things. We're all in college and we're all scattered around the country. But I think that learning about how each of them responds in different situations, it made me care so much more about them. Like the more that you learn about how someone learns, the more that you care how they do. And so watching them on the college level, I'm like because it's like, you see how good someone actually is and how much they've grown since when you first started playing with them or coaching them, things like that.
I always tell my team too, there's no more demoralizing play than when a defense just shuts you down, right? There's nothing you can do. You're trying to pass the ball, every receiver is covered, then the rusher gets in there and they make a sack. And it's so demoralizing because it's not like, all right, that one player beat me and she's really good. It's every single player on the defensive side was better than every single player on the offensive side. And that is the most demoralizing thing as a team is when you try to pass the ball and there's not a single person open and your quarterback gets sacked. It's
'Cause then
just
it's
like
like, what do
a
you do?
complete shutdown. As a coach, you go back to the drawing board and you're like, damn, we got to figure something out because,
Yeah.
they just beat us beat all five of us. And, that's a testament to you. Now, is there an opponent that was the toughest for you to prepare for?
Pair Aside from there are a lot of teams that you don't really know how they play going into it. Like, some teams have more visibility online and you can kinda scout them a little bit. Other teams that you have no idea what they do, I would say that's a little harder. I
Or
think
what was the preparation like? Let's say, if because again, in travel, a lot of teams you don't, like you said, you don't necessarily play them or see them before. So, what was the preparation like going into, let's say a Final Four or a national championship game against a team that you may have not seen?
honestly, wing it. Like, when you're at a tournament, you have to pay attention in that's the whole point of, like, the round robin, I guess that's what they would call it, right? Pool play. That's the whole point of those games is to see and kinda scout a little bit, and then the playoffs as well, if you get the chance to watch other teams, that's all you can really do, and I think that was honestly what some of my favorite things about tournaments is that it's about how quickly you can adapt, because a team can be good, right? But how quickly can you pick up on what the other team is doing? I think that's what really separates, like, if you have 2 really talented teams, that's what really separates between who's gonna come up 1st place and who's gonna come up 2nd, you know? So I think it was really a lot of winging it, which is hard to say, but it's just playing more and more and more and learning more and seeing what kind of plays there are. And even like now I play internationally and the type of play in America, it's like the basic plays that they're going to do. They're just going to cross and fly, or they're going to flood one way. It's in Europe they play a little differently and it's a different style. And so now I'm learning about that and I'm realizing all my experience was from youth coaches picking up on each other's plays and then just trying each other's
Yeah, exactly.
seeing what works. So a lot of it was very similar, so it was kind of easy in the beginning. Then when you get to, like, the national level and teams are a little better and trying different schemes, I would say a big team that deserves a lot of credit and was very creative, Texas Fury. Massive respect to them, their coaches, their players. Like, their scheme was very, very difficult. It was constantly a battle between, like, the defense that we were running and their offense that they were running because they were so creative with their plays, and we saw a lot of the northeastern teams playing, and we all had
Yeah,
the same style, but
exactly.
different, so, yeah.
I always felt like that was one of the tough things when we exit the Northeast because you guys were one of the most inventive teams, especially defensively. I always felt like your defense was extremely difficult to guard. A lot of it was changes on the fly. A lot of it was
Yeah.
you setting up things. It was very difficult to game plan against. If we did get a win here or there, it felt like the Super Bowl because it was so hard. But then like you said, you leave the Northeast and a lot of the Northeast teams kind of feed off each other and we're all guilty of it. If I see SIG run something that I haven't seen before and I really like, I'm going to take it and adapt it to my team. But when you constantly do that and you're in this bubble of the Northeast, a lot of the things start to look like each other. And I'm sure the Southern teams feel the same way, but then we go and see them and they're running a completely different system. And I feel like when you look at the teams that are winning now, you're looking at like some of those Mexican teams, some of the SoCal teams. They're running a lot of dual and triple quarterback stuff that we don't run up here.
Yeah,
So,
that's
they're kind of, that's a whole new era of offense and defense that we haven't prepared for. And I feel like that's why that surge of dominance is kind of coming with the Bad Rabbits teams and all of
yes.
that. But like you said, when you get to SIU has been one of the most inventive teams offensively and defensively in the Northeast, and then you get Texas Fury and you get a super matchup like that. That's always an exciting game to watch.
I tell you, I get, like, my heart was always beating so fast during those games because it was just like, like, I never know what's gonna happen, but it's so exciting because I don't know what's gonna happen.
Exactly. That's like watching the Ravens Steelers. That's like watching the Chiefs Patriots. For flag football fans, that was always like, 1A and 1B. Anybody can go. It was You knew you were going to see something that you haven't seen before from other teams. You knew there was going to be a big player too. We've watched you guys a bunch of times. That was really exciting. Now, what did NFL winning NFL Flag Player of the Year? What did that mean to you?
Everyone always asks this question, and it is such a hard question to answer because at the time it kind of felt like it was very spur of the moment. It didn't feel kind of that little bit of imposter syndrome. It didn't feel like I deserved anything. I was like, what have I done? Like, yeah, we won a couple national championships, but I'm like, why do I deserve this? I knew I wasn't the strongest. I knew I wasn't the fastest. I knew I wasn't the most athletic. Don't get me wrong, I can move, but I knew I wasn't like the best, you know? And so I was just kind of standing there as like, sure, why not? Like, I'll take whatever attention, you know, fine, but I just didn't feel like I deserved it because I was like, "Who am I?" And in all honesty, that award was the beginning of it all because that award gave me some sort of validity when it came to doing anything else in the flag world, and that made me feel like I am more motivated to work harder because I have a reputation to uphold or I have something to represent. Like, I am the first ever NFL Flag Player of the Year, I need to act as that. I need to exemplify those attributes and not only like continue to be the player that I am, but get better. And I think it was just the beginning. It was really motivating. And that is my favorite thing about winning that award. It wasn't like the experience, it wasn't the title, it was the fact that it pushed me to get better and not anything else.
That was a huge moment, I think, for you, obviously, and for your family, but honestly, for speaking as a coach that coached against you and coached you one time or another. I think it was an award that we all felt like we won because we were part of your journey. Whether it was against you or with you, we had a representative from the Northeast, from this little Staten Island, that kind of won such a massive national award. We were so happy for you. It was a huge moment for us, and like you said, you had a little bit of imposter syndrome, but I'm glad that you kind of see and feel the validation from it now because for the rest of us, I'm speaking from my experience, it was kind of, okay, now you finally felt and saw what we have all seen coaching and playing against you, that you're one of the top athletes to play against. And it was a nightmare, coaching against you. And it was great coaching you. And for me, it was like, okay, she's finally getting the recognition that she deserves. Because like you said, a lot of it wasn't, you weren't the fastest or the tallest or the biggest or the strongest, but we knew that you would be the one to make the decision on the field that changed the game. It may not have been you making the play, but we knew that, if there was a girl that was in a position that she wasn't supposed to be, it's because you told her to go there because the ball was going there. And
Yeah.
I'm so happy for you that you won that. It was huge. Is there a moment in your head that you replay to this day, like one specific loss or win or moment from your youth career that you replay to this day?
Nothing specific, because I know that I always try to look forward rather than behind, and anytime there is something that I felt a lot of negative emotions on the flag field, so I try to use it and move on from it because I think it makes it productive, you know, rather than just having something continuously replay. I know I definitely had hard times with bigger losses, like, let's say losing we've lost NFL flag championships in the winter every time, every time.
Yeah.
So, and it wasn't even, like, in a big game, you know? It was, like, in one of the early playoff games, and I remember those moments were hardest because you know what you're capable of. But, yeah, I just try to use whatever those emotions make me feel and continue on.
Now, obviously, we've touched on how great of a player you've been, but more importantly than that, I think you're a great role model. You helped create a college program, which is more than just being an athlete, it's being a pioneer, it's being a leader. What motivated you to start the college program at Rutgers?
Yeah. The original reason why I wanted a club team here was to play. I just wanted to play more. I wanted to practice. And after, like, now looking back, I could say everything that it's given me is 10 times more than just that. They motivate me, yes, to get better and practice more and get to run around a little bit. But it's also just really amazing to see people fall in love with the sport that I love because they know about it. People know what flag football is now, which is different than when we started and whenever we went to a hotel, everyone was like, "Oh, you guys play softball?" Or like, "Oh, you play soccer?" Or anything else. Now people know what it is. So that's nice, but they're learning the intricacies of it. And I think I'm really enjoying the chance I have to show someone else like how complicated this actually is and how much you can learn and how much your body can learn to get better. So yeah, that's what it's been like thus far.
Walk me through the early days. Are there some challenges that you faced when building that program?
But yeah, just a lot of confusion. Straight up, just a lot of confusion. Especially, so I go to Rutgers, big university, and a lot of I don't even know the word. I forget the word to describe it. Like logistically, there's a lot of different avenues that I have to go down. Like I have to talk to this person and that person, and we
Yeah,
have
it's a
to get the
bureaucracy.
proposal
There's a
done.
lot of steps.
Yeah, and I remember the first time that I went to go meet with anyone, I don't even know if I had a meeting with him. I think I was just like, "You know what? I'm at the recreation center. I'm gonna go talk to this person." And I just brought it up and I started talking about how, what's that conference? The Atlantic,
Atlantic East Conference?
yeah. So I started talking about that and I said that it's going to be D2 next year. That was, I think maybe it was my freshman year, maybe sophomore year.
Yeah,
But
it's the conference CSI is in.
yeah, I told him, I was like, "It's gonna be D2. This sport is gonna be D1 in a few years. We need to have it here." It's a high school it's a sanctioned sport in New Jersey and in New York, and people would come here just to play it. We need to start it here. And he said, "Okay, so you talk to this guy, make a proposal." And then obviously the list had like budget and equipment. And so I talked to like everyone that started teams. I talked to Wagner. I talked to you guys, I believe. I talked to UConn. I talked to SUNY Cortland. I talked to anyone, which all, by the way, were all started by people in Staten Island,
Exactly.
which is
Yep. There's
crazy.
like 5 or 6 teams
Yeah.
around
So
the country that
listen,
have been
use your
started by.
resources.
Exactly.
Crazy. Always use your resources. So I asked all of them. I was like, "Okay, tell me how much this stuff costs. Tell me how you're getting players. Tell me what equipment you need. Tell me like what," because they're asking me what I need. I'm like, "I don't even know what I need. Like I know how to
Yeah,
run
you have no
classes,
idea.
but like I don't know how to do this." And so yeah, so it was just a lot of confusion and a lot of I really just had to believe that it would happen. I just had to really, really believe that it would happen because it feels like my baby. There was nothing and now there's something. It's just like my child, you know? It's insane to see, and I think the hardest part was just constantly pushing and knowing that it's going to happen. Just no matter like, everything could go wrong, but we're still gonna have a team. Like, for our tournament against, like, the NCFFL, the tournament at, Iona, we were supposed to be getting jerseys, and then we double checked in, and they said that the jerseys weren't gonna come in because something I don't know, some miscommunication between who we were ordering them from, and I looked at my e-board and I was like, "Guys, like, what are we gonna do?" And I was super, super stressed, but at the end of the day, I said, "You know what? We're gonna have a team no matter what. I don't care if we all just wear the same color shirt. This is gonna happen."
Figure something out.
Yeah. And so we just got pennies on Amazon and here we are. So no matter what, it's gonna happen. It just won't be the best. It won't be exactly what you picture because it's the first time it's ever happening. Hardest part about being the first in anything is that it's not gonna be the best. It's gonna be rough, but that's the whole point. Is to start and then you have to leave it to someone else to shape up. So
Exactly, and a lot of that is something that I feel like a lot of other females are dealing with in other campuses and other schools, and that's why I feel like this is such an important topic. I've been reached out to through the NCFFL by so many different former players and former athletes, or even athletes that I don't know. And they're asking, how can I start a program here? I have 4 girls who want to play flag that I know. How do I get more girls? How do I get funding? Who do I speak to in the school? So could you kind of break down, real quickly, what was the steps that you took to
yeah.
get your program off the ground, just so they have some sort of guideline to follow?
Yeah. So the first thing that I had to do was show proof of interest. So I had to show that like I would need at least 15 people that would sign up for this. So I needed like their names and emails or like student IDs, something. And at that time, I was like, I'm sure everyone would want to play. I literally just went throughout my classes and I was like, "Can I put your name down? Can I put your name down? Can I put your name down?" Just asked all my friends. And I said, "Even if you don't want to play, I just need some names. Can I just put your name down?" And that's what I did. Just anyone that was willing to be like, "You could put my name down, sure, whatever." And that was the start of it. And you will like trust that if anyone listens, trust the sport speaks for itself. Everyone's going to want to play. Just show them that there's interest, show them that there's a future to it, and then you'll get the people to come. And when I say them, I mean like the school. Show the school that people in the school want to play. Show them that this, like, the area is interested, show them that it's a high school sanctioned sport, show them that it's gonna be a NCAA sport, and it'll just grow from there. So, trust in the sport.
Yeah, I think a big part of it is, two things from starting a program myself is do your homework and do the work. So, what I mean by do the homework is you got to go out and get statistics. Find
Yes.
out how many high schools have it
Yes.
around you. Find out how many people want to play. The one thing that I've seen from working with colleges and helping start a couple of programs outside my own, then obviously starting my own program and working with you on yours is that, the colleges want to be shown. You have to sell it to the college that they need this. And it's very hard to sell somebody something unless they believe that you've put in the work and that you care. So, my advice to any new athletes would be, hey, do your homework. Do understand what the flag football situation is like in your area. There's more girls than you know that play at a youth level, I promise you. And then, do the work, meaning the hardest thing for a lot of youth athletes, boy or girl, put yourself out there. You went
Mm,
to your classrooms, you just straight up ask people, right? Go to the lunchroom, ask. I found that almost every good thing in my life that I've built in flag football has come from putting myself out there. I just cold call people if I need something. I'll just look up somebody, some business or some whatever, and just call them and say, hey, can we work together? Can we do this? They've never heard from me before, but just put yourself out there, give yourself that opportunity. You'll be really surprised at how quickly you can put together a program, how many people will be interested, and how quickly the colleges will jump on it, especially with all the NFL and other, Oakley and all these other companies that are getting into business with flag football now. The
yeah.
colleges will be really ready to jump on it if you show that there is the work is being done and there is interest.
Yeah, dude, I don't even wanna know how much the NFL is spending on all these commercials. Like, they're
Oh my God,
promoting flag
millions,
like crazy. They're spending so much money just to get it out there and
millions. Yeah.
know. It's crazy. It gives me chills because 'cause I'm like, "My sport."
Was there a moment? I don't know if it's happened yet, but has there been a moment that made you realize that your program was real and it's going to be here to stay? Because I'm sure there was a moment as you were building it where you weren't sure if it was going to happen.
Yeah. I think after our first few practices, there are, I'm not gonna say their names because I don't know if they want their names shared, but there are these 2 freshmen who they've played before. One of them has played in Staten Island, actually, and another one played somewhere in Jersey, I think, and they met there for the first time, and every single practice, they were the first ones there, and every single time that, let's say, I had to cancel a practice or it was too cold or just weather's bad, anything, like, anytime we didn't have a practice, they would constantly tell me, like, "I was so looking forward to flag practice, like, we live for this school and then flag, school and then flag." I was like, "Guys, what?" Because how is someone going to college and I created something that's gonna be a huge part of their college experience? It's after I saw because it's really important that the next generation like, the hardest part with school programs is that people are going like, continuing out of them, you know? And it's really important to get, like, younger sophomores, freshmen that are really invested in this, and they'll be the future leadership of that club team, of that team in general. And after a few practices and they were telling me that they were really into it and they were very sad when there was no practice, I realized that this was gonna be a huge part of people's lives, and I'm excited to hand it over to them.
Talk to me about team culture. What is the
Mm.
type of team culture that you're looking to instill, at your program? Obviously, you're a leader there. You're going to be one of the main contributors to that program. What is the type of team culture that you're trying to implement there?
My biggest goal was to get people to like each other, was just to create to create,
Yeah.
like, a lot of team bonding. So we had a team bonding event yesterday, and I'm, once again, super grateful for my board because they're being a huge help. We're all learning how to do our positions from president, vice president, treasurer, fundraising, events, like, marketing, apparel, all of it.
Yeah.
We're all learning how to do our position well, and we're all, like, just working as a team, and we meet once a week for, like, 30 minutes over FaceTime and just, like, knock it all out, be like, "What's everyone doing?" And, like, what do we need to do next?" And I think the culture that's going to stem from that is that I want everyone to be involved in some capacity in helping the team run, and that means, like, having freshmen take on some sort of responsibility, having, like, sophomores be the assistants to our board so they know how to do that position, like, when they come up, or, like, whenever we're at practice, it's always, like, we sprint to and from drills, we want to make sure our bodies are healthy. It's not just like we're not rushing through warm-ups. I'm a big person, like, shout out to, my coach at Team Israel. strength and conditioning coach because I use a lot of his warm-ups. I use a lot of his drills, and I am really trying to develop like a culture of sustainable fitness, you know, because a lot of them aren't going to play at a higher level after this. So I want to fall in love with the sport and fall in love with movement and fall in love with being on a team and keeping their bodies healthy and longevity. Like I'm really into mobility. We warm up barefoot. Once again, shout out coach. So it's just trying to make people happy, zen, balanced, you know, I'm like all about like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of lessons that you can take, not just from a football standpoint, but you could take into your regular life through fitness, like you said. So, these are, unfortunately, a lot of these athletes may never play again after college, but they can continue to take those lessons that you're helping them learn into their life beyond their college years. Now, let's talk about a huge milestone for Rutgers when you guys stepped onto the NCFFL stage for the first time at the
Yeah.
November Cup. New program, new competition level, new chapter. Take us there for that one. What was going through your mind as your team walked into the tournament for the first time?
Well, firstly, we were the first ones there. So that was nice. We
You were
got
there when I was there setting up. It was very early.
Yeah, so we got there and everyone it's kind of exhausting for me because everyone's looking to me to be like, "Okay, what now?" And I'm just like, "I don't know, guys. I just wanna play. Like, can we just play?" But no, I have to take on some sort of responsibility and I have to make decisions of some sort. I was like, "Okay, guys, if we're gonna go on the field, everyone, we're gonna warm up in 15. Make sure you use the bathroom. Make sure you, like, adjust, and then we'll warm up on the field over there." And then I give them things to do, like, on their own, so this way if they wanna warm up their hands, like, they're catching, tapping, everything like that. But as I'm there, I'm, like, watching, I'm looking around, I'm like, "Holy moly, we're about to play for real." Like, this team, none of them knew how to play, none of them knew, like, 7-on-7 schemes, none of them knew routes, and I was looking at them, and I just felt like such like, there's this Jewish term nachas, which is, like, just pride and, like, not of yourself, but, like, of, like, something that you created, and that just, like so much of it. And I was just watching them warm up and it made me so happy because I created like a routine, some sort of consistency. They understood the drills. Like when I said a word, like let's say I said like snake drill or something like that or flag pulling, they lined up because they know exactly what we're doing because we do it every practice. And I was just like, wow, I created a system. And I don't know, I was just
I'm sure
super
it was very validating, right, for all the hard work that you put in.
1,000%, and I knew that it wasn't gonna be the end, but it was definitely it's really nice to see, like, every once in a while, you gotta take a second and look back at everything you have done. Like, obviously, I was looking at us, we were in, like, just red pennies, so no one actually knew what team we were, so I told everyone for warm-ups, I was like, "Put on something Rutgers," like a hat or a sweater. I was like, "Something Rutgers for warm-ups. We'll take it off during the game, but know who you're representing," you know? And then I made sure, like, I was like, "Guys, no trash anywhere. I will get on you if there's trash." Everyone something to carry, like ball bag, water, like everyone had their responsibility, and that's why I felt like I wanted to make sure everyone has a part to play when we're in game day, everyone had something to do. So
Now you can kind of see why coaching is so addicting, right? Because as coaches, we get that same exact feeling. Like you said, there's a lot of stuff to deal with. Sometimes I'm dealing with other athletic directors, sometimes I'm dealing with other coaches. And I turn around and my team is already warming up. The girls know what they're doing. They're getting into drills. I don't have to tell them.
yeah,
For me, it's just like I've prepared them well enough that they know what to do. And that's the exact feeling that, I'm sure that you felt when you got them there and you were able to say, let's do this drill. And they were able to execute it. Let's do that drill, and they're executing it. And that's exactly, kind of how, you feel as a coach when you are putting a program together and you kind of see it come to fruition that way.
yeah.
So what surprised you most about the competition at the November Cup?
I have no idea. When all of it was new for our team, I would say because we were so focused on ourselves that time, I wasn't even thinking so much about other teams because I knew I had to figure out, like, what we needed. 'Cause we had to make sure people knew the defensive calls. We had to make sure people knew the offensive calls. I was coordinating with my head coach to be like, "Okay, who's starting on offense? Who's starting on defense? Like, let us know," things like that. So I think I was so in my own world that I wasn't paying attention to the other teams, which probably I probably should have paid attention a little more. But, later that night, we did some film scouting, and it really helped. The second day, I'm sure
Yeah, you
you
came
saw
out much better.
it
Yeah,
was
you
like a
came out
completely different
firing.
thing second day, yeah. And so I think The first day, it was very much just, "Guys, we're just gonna play, like, this is what a game is, because we never had that was our first time we never scrimmaged against anyone, we never had a full game, like, we came to CSI and we had, like, a joint practice, we did a couple plays against each other, but they didn't know the flow of the game, they didn't.
Yeah, they've never seen what a format of a game looks like.
Exactly, and so the goal of the first day was just, like, play, and as we came to the second day, you can tell everyone was a little more like, "Okay, I know what's coming," and they had a little more confidence, and so second day, I was really, really impressed with every team because I was kind of expecting like, I played 7 on 7 in high school and for another school, granted, that's a whole other story in itself, but, I played 7 on 7 in high school, and we were playing against teams that, like, had tackle football coaches where they were lining up like a line and they were blocking, and so
Yeah, they're running like Power Eye and
yeah, and it was not like I was just kind of expecting a mix of different things because I didn't know. I didn't know what kind of coaches there were gonna be. I didn't know what kind of talent there was gonna be. I was obviously expecting CSI to be, like, very what's the word? Very athletic, very knowledgeable, and very, like, calm, cool, collected 'cause a lot of your players have played before. And, yeah, we're just gonna take everything at face value. I was really impressed with the Campbellsville? That's their name?
Campbell.
Yeah, yeah. I didn't know that they came from Kentucky.
Yeah, we had a team come from Kentucky.
Dude,
Mercy
I
Harris
had
came from,
no
far
idea.
north Pennsylvania. Like,
Literally
yeah,
no idea what I was stepping into. I should have done better and, like, prepared and, like and realized that a little more, but overall, like, I was really impressed with how many people knew the sport, you know? And I think that was my biggest shock was that everyone was like, they know the sport. Because this sport grew up like, I grew up while this sport was also growing up, it feels like it's, like,
exactly.
my sport, and all of a sudden, everyone knows the sport. I'm like, "You guys know my sport. Yes, yes."
Yeah, it's like finding a big community of people that, you're kind of stuck in this little bubble. And, now you find a big community like, oh, wait, there's other people out there across the country. Like, about the sport in Kentucky. You're like, really?
Yeah.
No, it's amazing. And what
Just
I
make it.
found
They're
too,
it's
unbelievable, right? And what I found too is that, I couldn't believe how good the coaching was.
yeah.
Even the teams that didn't play well, it's not like they weren't coached well. So, unfortunately, I feel like in Staten Island, or kind of the Northeast too, there's a lot of different 7-on-7 rules. Some people play a small field, some people play a big field, some people play this rules, that rules. Like you said, a lot of the high schools are just tackle coaches who need the extra stipends. So they'll
Yeah.
take the extra $2,000 to head up the flag team. And they don't take it seriously, and they're running Power I, and it's
Yeah.
some of the craziest stuff you've ever seen, right? But when you get to college, coaches care. They
Yeah.
know the game. You're starting to see high level 7-on-7 that you don't normally see outside of like Florida or Arizona. You're seeing high level 7-on-7 flag. And, for me, it was obviously a step back. You haven't played a team as good as Campbellsville before. We've played a couple of tough teams, but not a coach, I guess, that was at that level. So it was fantastic to see that there are other teams, other places that take it that seriously. And I think that's what surprised me most about the coaching. And then as far as the players, I think, you know, I was really interested to see the mix of talent level because you have some teams who have 3 or 4 girls who are lights out, like they would have been unbelievable, and then some newer girls, and they're kind of all mixed on different teams right now. So it was really interesting to see the difference in talent level that could be on a single team.
Yeah. And, dude, you're so right about, like about the coaching. I'm, like, playing back the tournament in my head right now, and you know how, like, I'm running the defense pretty much, and I there were times where I was just stumped. I was like, "Wow."
Yeah, well, on in 7-on-7, from coaching fives and sevens, I feel like 7-on-7, there's so I always said it, there's so much more coaching that can be done. There's so
Yeah.
many more schemes that can be done. There's so many more things you can do. There's blitz packages. You can run a true cover two, a true cover three, man to man, cover zero.
Learning a lot. I'm still learning a lot because 7 on 7 was never, like, my main thing, so I'm learning as I go, and it's just
It's unbelievable how much you can do. So like even me or some of the other coaches, we get stumped too. I'm like, wow, they ran that play. I've never seen that play before. I got to figure out how to defend that. There's so many different coaching points that you can do. So I feel like 7-on-7 has a lot of room for growth because there's so many things you can do, and
so
we're kind of in
entertaining
the
to watch.
infancy of it. It's really exciting, right?
Yeah.
But it also makes it really frustrating because, for your point, at the same time that you are trying to get your players ready to just understand the game, you also are playing teams that are getting deep into their offensive and defensive playbooks.
Yeah.
So you're playing teams that are going really deep into all the different concepts, and you're just trying to get your girls, somewhat ready to play a game. So I can understand, there's definitely points I'm sure where you were not frustrated, but you were kind of overwhelmed with all the things that are going on at the same time.
Yeah, I definitely I was very happy that our girls were playing, and even though I don't think the score really reflected how much they like, every single individual, like, put their all into it and tried their hardest, you know? And, like, I know that's a thing to say where, like, that's just saying, like, a participation trophy type of thing, but no, our team, for first time ever playing anything, I was so not just proud of, like, coaches say all the time, like, "I was so proud of how you guys did." I was looking at them and I was like, "You guys don't understand what we just did. You don't understand."
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you beat Albany, I believe, correct? Who
Yeah,
went
and
to the NCFFL National Championship last year. So they're a team that beat a bunch of other teams. They're a seasoned team. They brought back a lot of players, and you guys went out there. You lost to them on day one. It was a close game, closer than the score dictated,
yeah,
but you made a lot of adjustments I saw from day one to day two. You cleaned up a lot of different things, which is a credit to your coach and yourself, obviously. And like you said, to go from where you started to beating that team, I
people
think, like you said, the score doesn't show all the work and the how much you have changed from when you started the program till that moment.
1,000%. And also playing a team like Campbellsville, I think it really made people realize that we're playing, like, really elite athletes, and my team really needed to see that, yeah, we need to get faster, we need to get stronger, and not just the original goal was to create a system, right? Now that we have our system, what are we gonna do with it? How are we gonna elevate it? And we're, like, mid-winter workout. Like, I just came from a workout. That's why I was, like, kinda out of breath a little bit in a rush. We're starting to actually develop individual players, and I'm so excited for them to play this team again and realize that they themselves, like my team, they themselves are way better than they were before, and they can see it. So, yeah.
What did the November Cup teach you about your team's identity and the potential of your team?
Yeah, I realized how much people actually loved the sport, and they've never played it before. I had people on my team coming up to me and telling me that they have they don't remember the last time they felt this happy playing a sport. And they play sports their whole lives, from, like, basketball to wrestling to softball to anything. And they were all telling me how much they loved it. And I just want to make sure they're having a good time, because the worst thing is losing people, and people just don't want to come back. And that is my worst fear. Like, it already feels like an investment, you know? And all these people know the game already. They know exactly what I expect of them and what the game requires from them. And it would break my heart if someone didn't enjoy it, or if someone took the loss as, like, demeaning, or just as long as people were happy and want to keep playing, that was the biggest thing. And that is what made me the most happy, because mine I didn't expect to have a team, like a community. Like, I knew that we were gonna have workout partners, but now we have a community. Like I said, everyone really likes each other, and lots of, like, they're just making jokes all the time, and it's just great. That's my favorite part about my team right now.
Give us one moment from your first tournament that sticks in your mind. It's something that, maybe the world didn't see, but should appreciate about your team and about the girls that you have on that team.
I'm trying to think of something specific, because there's just a lot of laughs, you know? But I know that the one thing that sticks out in my mind is still that players came up to me and told me that they never had this much fun playing any other sport, like their main sports, their entire lives. People lose love for it, for their main sports. And now they're telling me that they love flag. I think that was the biggest thing, was just sitting there and all of us eating our snacks in a corner and just talking about the game. And yeah, and also, so because I'm religious, and so on Saturdays we have our Sabbath, like our virgin our you know yeah. And so I'm not on my phone, I'm not writing, I'm not any of that stuff. And so I was still at the tournament, and my everyone was asking me questions about it, and they were actually interested. I think that was also something really special to me, because people were taking interest in me personally, not just me as a player or me as, like, their club president, but they were really asking me about something that I believe in, and that too was also really special. And my sister came over, and it just talking It was all very, very wonderful.
That's a credit to you as a leader that your teammates wanted to get to know you more as a person because of how good of a leader and how much you've helped build that program. So that's just a credit to you and everything that you've done there. But let's talk about the bigger picture. So women's flag football in general. With all that you're doing, what does it mean to you to be a huge part of history in women's flag football?
I can't even express what it means because I I'm just excited to see where the sport's gonna go. I don't think I'm gonna actually believe how much I have done, how much I am currently doing, and how much I will do for the sport. I'm not going to believe it, quote unquote. I'm not gonna understand it until I'm older and I look back and I'm like, I was there for that. I made this. I caused this. Like it's gonna take a while for it to really set in. Right now, it's just like I'm in awe of the sport growing in itself.
What still needs to change for athletes to succeed long term in flag football?
Okay, you touched on this already. I think we need standardized rules. We need standardized formats. We need a pro league. That is something that's really important because then, if you've noticed that whenever NFL flag creates a new rule or sets a new rule, that becomes a precedent for like a standard for all leagues. And so that's going to become a thing in 7-on-7 as well. 7-on-7 I feel like has more. We've briefly talked about this over the phone. 7-on-7 has a really big opportunity to become like a household sport, like in itself. People understand tackle football, and so they understand 7-on-7 concepts, and it becomes a lot through like the translation. People get it, and whereas 5-on-5, I think it's still going to take a while before people truly appreciate the like quality of that game. Yeah, 7-on-7 needs standardized rules. They need a pro league for for marketing purposes, just in general, for people to understand the sport better. And yeah, just every single athlete that plays flag football needs to get better on their own. Because whenever you're a minority in anything, and right now flag athletes are a minority in the athletic community as a whole, you need to represent as best as you possibly can because that's the only way people are going to start respecting the sport. Is if they see people whose main sport is flag football and they see that they are fast, that they are strong, that they are taking this seriously, they're going to start respecting the sport itself. They're not going to look at it as a backyard sport. They're not going to look at it as something that people do just for fun or just like powder puff. If anyone's like from New Jersey, I don't know if they use that. They probably use that term other places, but I've only ever heard it here.
Yeah, not really, here, but other places they definitely do.
Yeah. So it's not just powder puff. It's a real sport that requires talent, discipline, IQ. It's every single player needs to make themselves better because they're representing flag football every single time that they show themselves anywhere.
How do we expand access for girls at the youth level in flag football? How do we get more girls into the flag football at a younger age?
Yeah. Aside from leagues, because every single girl, every single boy, they all want to play recreationally some sort of sport. And everyone does like gymnastics, karate, basketball, soccer, lacrosse. Like people do these things. So there needs to be a lot of rec leagues just in general, which NFL flag is doing a great job at because now I'm seeing a lot of it all over the country. But I also think that I don't know, I think I always talk about this coaching. It gets better as you go up in like from youth to college, like to high school to college, to pro, like things like that. In general, coaching always gets more effective as you go up. I think we need to show NFL flag coaches how to make a like a real team. You know what I mean? Like I think youth coaches need to get better at what they do and they need to push themselves just as hard as I was just talking about the youth athletes. The coaches need to push themselves just as hard to learn more things, watch more things online, and just be like sponges, and absorb because everyone has such a big ego and everyone thinks they know everything. Everyone needs to understand that there's always more to learn and we all need to be watching, like exploring with the rule book and like seeing different trick plays. Like we have to see this stuff. And like you said, we were trapped in our Northeast bubble for so long that when we went out and played teams from across the country, we didn't realize the type of schemes that they were running. So I think we all need to be watching different types of flag football and different types of teams because it's going to make all of us better.
Yeah, I think that, as far as the coaching point, that's going to come when the idea of the sport changes. So it's not just,
Yes.
an easier or, a dumber version of tackle football. It is its own sport, you know. it's not just a worse version of tackle. It is a whole completely different sport. And we need to make sure that the coaches understand that just because you played tackle football at the JV level 40 years ago doesn't make you
Yeah.
qualified, even coach a rec girls flag football team. You have to understand the sport, understand the concepts, and take it seriously. And I feel like there's a lot of coaches that are coaching, obviously, that they're coaching obviously because they want to coach their kid or whatever. And I think there needs to be more resources for those coaches to
Yes,
get the
yes.
knowledge that they need because there's not that many resources for coaches to go to say, what do I do here?
Yeah, and also, like, huge shout out to Liz and Katie Sowers because they just came out with, the first ever of its kind, a book about 7-on-7 flag football.
I have it around here somewhere.
It's they're absolutely goated for that because that is something that is absolutely necessary if we want this game to I've been to their practices, I wanted to go to their school for a while, and I seen the way that they run things, and I think Liz is really good at explaining the complexities of it, so I'm really happy that they did that because it's like a concrete way of showing of people, learning it.
Yeah,
Huge.
I just bought it maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. I've been flipping through the pages. I use a lot of their drills. As a coach, you can never, ever, ever learn too much.
Yeah,
Always looking to learn something from somebody.
yeah,
And like you said, shout out to them for making that an incredible book.
yeah,
It's helped me a lot uh, at the youth level, at the college level. I use a lot of their drills. I mean, anytime you can learn from a 5-time national champion, you need to because they're doing
yeah.
something right. So if I could take 1% of their knowledge, which is 1,000 times more than I know, hopefully I can get 1% better. So there needs to be more resources like that for coaches so that way we have somewhere to go to refer to what we need.
Yeah, 1,000%. And you know what else their team is doing, which is so special? Just people look up to their players. And you asked what is it going to take for the sport to grow, to get more youth girls specifically to play the sport? It's going to take a lot of mentorship. It's going to take women being coaches and refs. It's going to take seeing look at Team USA. Girls look up to those women, and we need to every single person that has some sort of voice in flag football needs to be looking at how they can get a little girl to see them play, to see what flag football has done for them. The goal should be to really highlight our women in flag football, in football, because it's going to become not, it's hard to say, it's going to become normal for a woman to be involved in football. And I think that girls right now, it's really changing the definition. Like for me growing up, and I'm sure for other women who are currently in flag, football was not a girl's sport. Football was not a woman's sport. And it's really hard to say that you play football because no one ever takes it seriously. They're like, oh, you just run around. So I think it's really going to take female mentorship and it's going to be really important for women. Like, please, any college athlete or anyone who is already moved up from youth club, everyone needs to be coaching a youth girls team. Everyone that's my
Yes,
age, they need
absolutely.
to be coaching a youth girls team. They need to see that women know this stuff. They need to see that us females, we can also be in charge of this and our knowledge is respected. That's really, really important.
I'm one of the biggest proponents of females in coaching. I coach my youth travel team. I coach with a former athlete, a female who I coached myself as a young coach. She joined my coaching staff for my travel team. I have 2 female coaches on my CSI team, my offense coordinator and my assistant head coach. My goal has always been, and I just recently did an interview with CSI. My goal has always been to one day turn that program over to a female head coach. This is your sport. And I feel like right now we're just kind of holding the place until we have enough female coaches that are in position to give that sport over to you. You know, anytime a female athlete wants to transition to coaching, I think it's a fantastic thing. I think there's so much growth for that. I think there's not enough girls that understand that that is a possibility for them. And there's also not enough opportunities right now either. I think as the sport grows and it becomes an NCAA sport, there's going to be more head coaching opportunities. Girls right now, if they're graduating college, they need to get on a coaching staff as a GA or as an assistant coach. There's so many opportunities. Volunteer your time. If there's not a paying job, I did coaching, I get paid now, obviously, through the college ranks, but I did coaching for 15 years for free. And I still do the travel for free. I do my rec league for free. I do a lot of coaching for free because you're just building up your resume for when those opportunities come. So any ladies that are looking to coach, I highly, highly recommend that you start building your resume now. So when those NCAA opportunities come, you have 5 or 6 or 7 years of coaching under your belt. You've been an assistant coach, you've been an offensive coordinator, a defensive coordinator, you've been all those positions. So that way you're ready for the opportunity when hopefully one day Rutgers asks, for a head coach and I can recommend you, you already have those years of coaching under your belt. I think that's super important for any female who's looking to get into coaching.
Yeah, I agree.
And you start at the youth rec level, like you said. You start and grab yourself a 10-year-old girls team, right, and learn how to manage that. And then you move up to the travel level, and then you move up to the high school level, and then you move up to the college level. You got to build yourself through the ranks, but now's the time because there's going to be a lot of college opportunities that open up within the next few years with the
Totally.
NCAA, and they're going to be looking for coaches, and a lot of programs are going to be looking specifically for female coaches. So that there's going to be a lot of opportunity there for a lot of young ladies who don't think right now that there's a future beyond just playing. So I'm going to encourage all female athletes. If you're serious about coaching, start now.
Yes. Yes.
So I want to give some advice to some young athletes. So a girl in high school wants to play right now. What should she be doing?
Any sort of at home workouts that you can be doing, you need to be doing and look for opportunities to play. I think when you're young, the best thing you can do for yourself is just experience, 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 experience. Rec leagues, club teams, playing up. Playing up is a big thing. Even if you're the worst on the team, play older. Like always do that because it's going to really push you to be way better. If you're a teenager, start playing women's, like Skamoog. It's specifically Northeast recreational women's flag football. Try it. Just play as much as you can. Like get outside, play with your friends outside, play at school, just play in the backyard, play against boys. That's always a kicker. Always really good. Just play as much as you can, really.
What do you wish you knew earlier in your career?
Good one. I wish I knew how to work out like I wish I knew more flag football specific drills because I was doing a lot of tackle football drills and yeah, it was still helpful for agility, but I definitely wish that I could have sunk into specifically flag football drills because it would have given me more pride in my sport as opposed to just football in general. And it would have made me be able to explain exactly how my sport is different. So yeah. But also on top of that, mentorship, I wish I locked in earlier and realized that I need to create for myself mentors, I don't know if you ever saw it, but on Thanksgiving Day, one time they posted the Giants put on a commercial on Fox News, a little interview they did with me, and they were where I was talking about how Cooper Kupp was one of my role models because he's the closest thing that I could get to someone that looked like me. He was blonde, like a white blonde wide receiver, and he was good, and people respected him, and that's all I was craving. I just needed a mentor that I could see myself moving like, and
Exactly.
it's the most superficial thing, but it's so important because when we don't have someone that represents something like us, then we don't see ourselves doing it. So I had to create for myself. I had to picture myself moving like a man. It was very, very, and that's still very hard to this day, to find role models and because we don't know what we want to do because no one's ever done it before. So you have to make it up. You have to create some sort of goal for yourself, make it up and get there.
Now you are one of those role models. I'm sure there are little
So
girls out there that are looking at you saying, I want to move like her. I want to become NFL flag player of the year like Alice. And I want to go win a national championship like Alice. And, I'm sure that there are plenty of young athletes now that are looking at you the same way you looked at Cooper Kupp, back in the day.
yeah, I really hope so.
In one sentence, what is a message that you have for the next generation of female athletes?
In one sentence,
I know it's hard.
I would say that this is their game and they have to absolutely take pride in it. Simple as that, honestly.
That says a lot, though. There's a lot to unpack in that one sentence. So, there's a lot that people are going to take away from that. We're going to do a rapid fire round. So I'm going to give you a couple of questions and you're going to answer them really quickly. You ready? What is your favorite route to run?
Ooh, Hitch.
What is your go-to pregame hype song?
Losing It by Fisher.
Do you have cleats? Or do you have any cleats of choice that you always wear or gloves?
Always lacrosse cleats, not any one specific brand, but always lacrosse cleats. And gloves, I'm really into grip boosts. I've won a lot of championships with them. I'm trying to get into other things and other brands and try different things, but always the grip boosts.
That's a big key right there. The lacrosse cleats. I always tell my athletes go to a lacrosse store because they're almost the same as football cleats, but they're like $50 when the Nike ones from football will be 130,
Yeah.
and they for some reason they fit better.
Yeah, and the football ones have a harder top, so people don't step on them. We don't really need that so much, and it feels more constricted.
Yeah, because they're all tackle football cleats. There's not like flag football cleats yet. So, if any brands want to start some flag football cleats, I'm sure there's a market for it. Who's the most underrated player in the flag football game today? Somebody that you think needs more recognition?
Ooh, Victoria Nye, women's player, New Jersey. She is an absolute baller. Love her. Amazing person. Deserves way more recognition. She's so fast, so strong.
Funny story about her. I saw her playing one time and she was absolutely destroying the guys in a
Yes,
co-ed tournament. And then she pulls like a six-pack of chicken nuggets out of her shorts and just starts eating them in the middle of the end zone.
that sounds about right, honestly.
I'm like, first of all, where
Where
did you
did
get
you get
chicken
them from?
nuggets?
Yeah, I don't know.
So funny. Everybody was shocked. That describes her pretty well, though. If you know
Yeah.
Victoria and you know how she plays, she's that good and she's that funny. If you could 1v1 any player from the flag football world, who would it be? And if you could 1v1 any player not in the flag football world, who would it be?
I have no idea. 1v1 is always defensive player. 1v1 has never been like it's not for it's not made for defensive like players.
You don't give yourself enough credit on the offensive side.
That is true. That is true. I must admit. I've been working on my route running too. Oh, that's hard. Do you know who I have so much respect for? Ashley Marie on Team USA Women's. I see her all the time training online and her footwork is absolutely impeccable. Love to go against her. And you said just in general, not in the
Yeah,
community,
exactly.
as in like tackle football players.
Could be tackle football, could be anything you want. A baseball player, 1v1, whoever you want. Could be an ex-president, whatever you want.
Oh,
You want to cut up Abraham Lincoln, George Washington, whatever you want.
that'd be a very funny trying to explain what a 1v1 is to Abraham Lincoln. I think like I don't even know how to answer that one. I'm thinking of like other athletes, but I think the most fun would be just going up against like a college football player. Let's say here at Rutgers, my friend Ben Rosenblatt on the Rutgers team. Like
Shout out to Ben.
shout out to Ben because he's wide receiver at Rutgers, but it's just like as a friend and as someone who plays college ball and as someone who like kind of he also respects me as an athlete, I think that'd be a really fun time.
I'd like to see a 1v1 Cooper Cup. I want to know. I want to see who wins that matchup
I think he would win it. I
of the
must
white
admit.
blondes. Who wins that matchup?
No, almost certainly him. But you know what? I definitely think he would respect me because I use all of his drills. All of his drills. Love his YouTube videos.
What is one word teammates would use to describe you?
Passionate.
That's you for me. I think just from talking to you and from talking to other people that know you, knowledgeable.
Mm,
You have a lot of flag football knowledge. I really hope that you plan to be a coach one day. Is that something that's in
hopefully.
the works in your future?
I'm not so sure because we'll see like what where my degree takes me first.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of opportunity for somebody like you to be in the sport beyond just your playing years. Even if it's not a coach, as a representative of the United States or Israel flag football or representing a brand, you got to stay in flag football beyond just your playing years for sure.
1,000%. Some way.
Well, Allison, your story was so powerful. Your voice is definitely needed on the flag football scene, and you're helping build something bigger than just the sport. I want to thank you for your time. You've been amazing. This interview has been a lot of fun. Hopefully, all of our viewers learn something about you and about flag football itself, and
Yeah.
they are ready to go out and build their own flag football adventure.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. This is a great time.